The show goes into some of these judges' tables and how sometimes they'd be rather tough.
She looks pudgy.
So then it's silly and you go back home and you do what? Work at Burger King?
Girl, you walk like you on crack.
Yes, I made fun of them and I was just doing my thing.
You were not known as the hard or the tough judge necessarily, but were you guys ever given directive to be tough or to be edgy?
No, part of Tyra's genius, really, was putting together a team of people who could be very much themselves. If you pick people on reality television who have their own personality and they can be real in front of the camera, then that authenticity in the fact that they're not performing, that they're actually just being themselves, reads really well. So if you can cast crazy characters who will be outrageous, flamboyant, over the top, they fit that niche.
You need to be able to slinky ink down the runway. If you can't slinky ink, you may look stinky stink.
And I, luckily, fit the niche of being perhaps the straight white male, right? Or the constructive criticism and perhaps the level head. And I would sometimes look back and look to my side and go, oh my goodness, what's actually happening right now?
Look at this waist. You have the smallest waist in the world. There's something about her that I like.
The most famous, iconic moment of the entire series is Tyra screaming, saying,
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Tyra really scared all of us. Like, we literally jumped out of our seats. What is happening right now?
what is going through your mind when this is happening? Did you have any idea she was gonna blow up?
No, we had no idea at all. None. I mean, it clearly showed that she was on edge, because to explode in that manner, unexpectedly, on camera, and I don't think it was deliberate. I don't think she had planned it. I think she literally exploded. Now, Tyra really, really cared about every aspect of the show, and I think it truly bothered her so much that there was clearly, she had a sort of a snap.
Be quiet! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this.
I just wanted to change this woman's life. I felt like she could have been a supermodel with a capital S.
I actually thought they were going to stop it. If you're going to go off the rails, we're going to allow it, and we're going to film it, and we're going to put it on TV.
Let's talk about the photo shoots. Some of those came under fire.
They dress like homeless people for a shoot.
We are actually going to switch your ethnicities.
Was there a photo shoot that made you uncomfortable seeing the photos at the time?
I think there were several photo shoots that I judged or saw or heard of that made me feel uncomfortable. I thought were ridiculous. I thought were perhaps not a great idea. And even some of the language that was used. But, you know, when you're in a cast of people who are of color, when you are in a cast of people who are women and your boss is a woman, sometimes there's an element of trust even that they perhaps might know better than you about whether this is appropriate way to speak to a woman or whether it's appropriate to speak to someone of color. But that being said, even then, I thought to myself, well, I wouldn't say that. Or why did you say that? Or why are we doing this?
That looks like you're taking a nap. You needed to look like you're brutally killed.
I take full responsibility for that shoot. That was a mistake.
Tyra in the doc, she uses the excuse often in it that it was a different time back then.
Hindsight is 20/20 for all of it, and I did the best that I could at that time.
But is that an excuse?
When you think about the time element, there is a big piece of that because it was 20 years ago. You know, when you have to look back, and I even look back at what I was wearing on the show 20 years ago, and I'm thinking I would never wear that again. So to look back with hindsight is certainly easier to judge and be critical. That being said, were there things that perhaps, you know, she got carried away or the production got carried away? I would say yes, because it's very easy to critique it on all the things that went wrong. But there were a lot of things that went right, and, you know, including trying to be inclusive of people of color and diversity and sizes and shapes and heights, things that the fashion and modeling industry had not truly embraced. Also, when we had Whitney win, you know, and we had contestants like Tyra, they represented sort of full-figured ladies, and people said, oh, they're not going to work, there's no work for them. And we're like, no, there should be, and there is, and there will be.
Yes.
You know, and if we hadn't made some of those decisions and made it mainstream, you know, that might not have happened too. So that's something that, you know, you have to look at the good and the bad, perhaps, with these things.
Whitney is a great example of who went on to have incredible success, and she was the first plus-size winner. Manuel, she spoke about her time after winning America's Next Top Model, and she said,
I had no idea how hard it would be. Those cameras shut down on Top Model and they just threw me to the wolves.
How much support was given to these contestants afterwards? Were they being set up for success?
In any reality television show, including, The Voice, for example, or, America's Got Talent, anything like that, if you win, yes, you get the prize, you get the fame and all the rest of it, but it's still up to the individual to understand how to take that opportunity in that moment and make the most of it. It's not as easy as it always sounds. Even for myself, being on Top Model, I had various different photography clients who didn't want to work with me because they thought I had sold out or was too commercial. There has always been a stigma attached to being connected with reality television. I know that affected several of the contestants, and what you'll see is that, as is often the case, people who come sort of in the top 3 or 4 often may do better than the winner. However, we've had plenty of winners as well, who like Ava, who's gone on to do incredible things.
Tyra, take one.
In the doc, Tyra speaks about the challenges, the controversies, but she essentially blames the viewers.
We kept pushing and we kept creating more and more and more. You guys were demanding it. The viewers wanted more and more. More.
Whether it's a fair assessment or not, it is an assessment. I've seen it online where a lot of people are like, that's ridiculous that Tyra would say that. I was only 12 or I was only 14. I'm like, yes, but your mother who watched it with you wasn't. Correct. Right? And so this show was not designed for 12-year-olds. It was designed for people who could actually buy things, because all shows are designed for people who can actually buy things and who pay for the bill, right? So it just happens that kids also like to watch it. But the kids are the ones who are now responding. However, I do think that regardless of whether someone asks for something or wants it, again, acting as an adult that's responsible, you also say no to certain things, even when they want it. Yeah. Right? Mom and Dad, we say no.
Tyra says she says she is open to being criticized for the show, but everything in the doc implies otherwise.
It's a little difficult for me to talk about production because that's not my territory. I'm not head of story, that's Ken Mock. I didn't think it was controversial. I was in my own little bubble, in my own little head.
Do you believe her?
With criticism, you have to understand where you are. You have to, if you don't think you've done anything wrong, then you're not going to say sorry, are you? So there has to be some sort of contrition and belief in it to come around. Otherwise, this may be her answer. This is how she feels. And so, therefore, take of it what you will. Things aren't always as black and white as they seem either. There's a lot of shades of gray. And even on a show like this, there's days and days of filming boiled down, and it's 18 seasons wrapped into 3 episodes. So, there's only so much you can do, even though they did a beautiful job with it, I've got to say.
I'm going to show you what beautiful is. Let's go. Let's do this. America's Next Top Model.